Hello students, nice to see you again. In this video we're going to speak about several key concepts on the strategic management field. We are going to speak a little bit about hierarchy, and we are going to speak about the summary paper that you have to submit on Wednesday, April the 8th, okay, next Wednesday. First of all, you have here several key concepts, okay? For example, mission. Mission is a general expression of the overall purpose of the organization, okay? It's just a general statement. Usually, it's in line with the opinion of the major stakeholder, okay? On the next class, we are going to speak about stakeholders and major stakeholders of the companies, okay? When we speak about vision or strategic intent, we are referring to the desired future state of the organization, where the organization wants to be in the future. Okay. When we speak, for example, of goal, it's usually used for referring a general aim in line with mission. A lot of times they are just synonymous. But objective is not exactly the same as a goal. Let's say that objective is more likely to be quantified. Okay, it has more to do with concrete figures. Okay, with relevant figures, relevant numbers that you have to achieve, that a company has to achieve. Okay. When we speak about strategic capacity, we are referring to the resources and competencies of the company. When we speak about strategy, we are referring to long-term direction of the company in general, where the company wants to be in 5 or even 10 years. We have as well another key concept, business model. When we are speaking about business model, we refer to the structure of product or the service or information and the roles of the participant or the participant parties. And finally, we have the strategic control that has more to do with monitoring. Okay, all the strategic management process has to be controlled, and you have to have a continuous monitoring of such aspects. Another key concept of strategic management is the competitive advantage. Okay, we can define competitive advantage as anything that a firm does especially well compared with rival firms. Okay, strategic management is all about gaining and maintaining such competitive advantage with regard with the other competitors. We have a competitive advantage, for example, when a company can do something that rival firms cannot do it, okay? Or a company owns something that a rival firm desire. Let's think, for example, in a pattern or in a special asset, and such kind of things could represent a competitive advantage. Let's put it an example, okay? Let's think in these times of lockdown, a lot of parts of the world are under a big lockdown. In this situation, of course, just having an ample cash on the firm's balance sheet can provide a major competitive advantage of such company, because such company is going to resist the recession, and maybe others shall go to bankruptcy proceedings. Okay. Sometimes, for example, having less fixed access than rivals can also provide major competitive advantage in case of global recession. Let's think, for example, in Apple. Apple do not have any manufacturing facilities. They always hire such kind of services, and less fixed assets has enabled Apple to remain financially lean, for example. Continuing with competitive advantage, getting and keeping competitive advantage is essential for long-term success of the companies. Okay, usually a company can sustain a competitive advantage for only a short period due to rival firms imitating under meeting that advantage. Okay, let's think, for example, that we have a great idea or we have a great process. Of course, if that process or that idea works or works well, our rivals are gonna copy them and our competitive advantage is going to finish. Okay, so let's put it like a competitive advantage used to be like a temporary monopoly. Okay, let's think, for example, on patents. Not only patents, but because patents have a certain period of time in which they are enforced, 5 years, 10 years. Let's think, for example, in a great idea. Of course, you are going to be able to take advantage of such great idea, but if such great idea works perfectly well, your rivals are gonna copy them, are gonna copy it, and your competitive advantage is going to end. So it's not enough to have a great idea. You have to be able to have sustainable competitive advantage. Okay, you have a sustainable competitive advantage when a company implements a value creating strategy. Let's think, for example, in Amazon or in IKEA, and other companies are not able to follow the benefits, just copy such idea. Sustainable and competitive advantages are advantages that are not easily copied, and then they can be maintained for a long period of time. Okay, let's think, for example, on soft skills, on talent of the company, on the staff of the company. The competition shall not be able to do it right, and such competitive advantage is not going to be sustainable. Developing a sustainable competitive advantage requires loyalty, requires a great location and proper unique channels, good vendors, and a reputation for customer service. Okay. Another key concept is the core competences. Okay, we can define core competences as distinctive competitive advantage to that company and critical to the company's long-term growth. Another key concept, of course, is the business unit. A strategic business unit is a part of an organization for which there is a distinctive external market for goods or services that it is different from another strategic business unit. Okay, here you have the picture of P&G. As you may see, there are at least 6 strategic business units. Another key concept, very important in strategic management, is the Pareto principle. Okay, you can also find it as the 80-20 rule. The Pareto principle is applicable to all fields in life, and it is a very, very important rule. I'm gonna give you a small video, a very interesting video, and then at the end of the class we'll comment it through quizzes.
Ask for the job you want. Ask for the salary you want. Ask for the responsibilities you want. Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most helpful concepts of time and life management. It's called the 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule is also called the Pareto principle, named after its founder, the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, in 1895. He noticed that people in society seemed to divide naturally into what he called the vital few, or the top 20%, in terms of money, property, and influence, and the trivial many, or the bottom 80%. Later, he discovered that virtually all economic activity was subject to this same principle, in that 80% of the wealth of Italy during that time was controlled by 20% of the population. We can take Pareto's 80-20 rule and apply it to almost any situation. In particular, we can apply it to goal setting and productivity. According to this principle, 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. That means if you have a list of 10 items to accomplish, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth more than the other 8 items put together. The sad fact is that most people procrastinate on the top 10 or 20% of items that are the most valuable and important, the vital few that account for all your success, and instead they busy themselves with the least important 80%, the trivial many that contribute very little or nothing to their success. So here's what you should do in order to effectively apply the 80-20 rule to goal setting and to your overall productivity. First, take a piece of paper and write down 10 goals. Then ask yourself, if you could only accomplish one of the goals on that list today, within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? I ask this question of my clients all over the world. What is your most important goal in life right now, which you need to know, by the way, if you want to be successful? Then pick the second most important goal. What you'll find is that after you complete this exercise, you will have determined the most important 20% of your goals that will help you more than anything else you do. Second, you should work at those goals that you have chosen all the time. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they're busy working on tasks that are of low value or no value, while they are procrastinating on the 1 or 2 activities that can make a real difference to their companies and to their careers. The most valuable tasks you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex, but the payoff and rewards for completing them can be tremendous. They can actually change your whole future. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities, or is it in the bottom 80%? The rule for this is simple. Resist the temptation to clear up small things first. That's the greatest killer. We become so involved in little things, and little things multiply. They just become more and more, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you've accomplished nothing. If you choose to start your day working on low-value tasks, you'll soon develop the habit of always starting and working on low-value tasks. You'll be like the horse that pulls the wheel around in a circle all day, never makes any progress. Finally, I want to tell you about a study that's just been done about the attitudes of rich people versus poor people with regard to goal setting. What they found is that 85% of rich people have one big goal that they work on all the time. Only 3% of poor people have a big goal, and they don't work on it very much. So if you want to be wealthy, do what wealthy people do. Pick one big goal and work on it all the time. And if you do, it will change your life. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this: when your goals are clear, you will come up with exactly the right answer to achieve your goals at exactly the right time. So those are my strategies for applying the 80-20 rule to goal setting. If you haven't seen my other videos about goal setting and increasing your productivity, take a look. Now, I'd love to hear from you, so my question today is, do you use the 80-20 rule for goal setting and time management? And if you do, what changes have you noticed in your life? Leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want to change your future, take action and take action now. To learn more about goal setting, download my 14-step goal setting guide by clicking the link on the screen or in the description below to help you get on track with your goals.
We are going to speak a little bit about hierarchy and the decision-making process within companies. Okay. First of all, you have at the top of the pyramid the senior management. Of course, at that top, the decision-making process has to do with the side entrance or exit from the relevant market, approve the capital budget, decide long-term goals, for example, in which business unit the company is going to invest or is going to participate. In the next step, in the middle management, you have several decision-making process as decision of a marketing plan, for example, to develop a departmental budget just for each concrete department, or design a new corporate website, for example. And then finally, you have the operational management and the individual employees and teams. I'm going to show you just as an example the hierarchy of EY, Ernst & Young, the company I worked for 5 years in the past. As you can see here in this slide, there is at least 8 different positions. You are going up through your career depending on your evaluation. You have every 6 months an evaluation and feedback for your counselor. And this is a typical structure of that we call up or out. That means that your performance has to be good, has to be appropriate, and you are gonna be promoting through the scale. Okay, if your performance is not as good as expected, maybe you are going to be invited to leave the company. It's what we call up or out. I left the company when I was about to become a manager. Okay, as you see, it's more or less in the middle. And then after that, you have to be at least 5 years as senior manager, and then you can become a partner. This is just an example of what we call up or out structure, but we are going to see a lot of different types of hierarchy in corporations. And finally, I would like to speak about the first summary paper that you have to submit on Wednesday, April the 8th. Okay, so next Wednesday at the latest. Well, this is what we have called an idea competition. Okay, you have to think on some idea of a product or a service that you think that it could work in the market. Okay, a business idea, and you have to do it 2 things. You have to first of all write it down, write a written description with a short and precise description of your business idea. You have to use a template that is on Canvas. Okay, there should be a minimum of 500 words, Arial 12 font double space. Okay, I really recommend you to use the template that is on Canvas, and I also recommend you to use the just as a guideline the Mirenberg's 5 P's. Okay, you have to remember that in the second video we saw the Mirenberg's 5 P's, which are perspective, plan, patterns, position, and ploys. Those 5 P's could be very useful for you to describe your business idea and to explain it. Okay, once you have written down your idea, I am going to ask you to record a short video, okay, 2-3 minutes video through a website called Flipgrid. It's a very easy website. You can follow the instructions that are on Canvas. Please, this is new. I think that it's complicated to record a video and to submit it. So if you have any query, any doubt, both of the written description or the presentation of the idea by recording the video, please write me down through Canvas, and I'm going to answer you as soon as possible. Thank you. And I am going to finish this first class by asking you to answer a few questions, a few quizzes, okay, through Canvas, and a discussion, okay. As I told you, those questions and the discussion, they are not going to be great directly, okay, but they are very useful to me in order to graduate the participation of the students. So I really encourage you to answer them, okay. They are very easy questions, okay. From the second video, you have 5 questions. You have to answer what are the 5 P's of member, okay. You have to answer what are the 3 levels of strategy. You have to remember that we saw 3 different levels of strategy. You have to answer what are the 5 phases of the strategic planning process. You have to answer what do you think, why do you think that the strategic planning process requires a continuous revision, we saw in the second video. And you have to answer finally what are the 5 characteristics of a good strategy. You have to remember that we saw 11 characteristics of a good strategy. You have just to name 5 of them, okay. And from this video, from the second video, you have to answer 4 questions. And you have to define with your own words competitive advantage. You have to define what is a strategic business unit. You have to see to tell me what are the 3 levels of management hierarchy, and you have to tell the difference between goal and objective in strategic management, okay. And so they are very easy questions. And then finally, I'm going to ask you to answer a brief discussion, okay, about being your own boss. You have to tell me advantages and disadvantages in comparison with working for a company. Thank you very much, students. If you have any query, please do not hesitate to contact me through Canvas or through email, and I'll see you on next class. Thank you.